The Republican Party is not doing great right now. Trump is certainly, his approval rating has fallen off. Independents are disgusted. Young men are fleeing, blah, blah, blah. How's it going for the Democrats? Let's put this up on the screen. Oh, lo and behold, their approval rating has plunged to the lowest level in 35 years, according to the Wall Street Journal. They find that 63% of voters hold an unfavorable view of the Democratic Party. That is the highest share in journal polls dating to 1990 and 30 percentage points higher than the 33% who hold a favorable view. So you've got only 33% of the country who have a favorable view at this point of the Democratic Party. And, you know, I think there's a lot going on here. I mean, first of all, I wouldn't read into this necessarily that like, oh, Republicans are going to do great in the midterms if you look at the generic ballot and whatever. And just the fact that you have voters who are center left and liberal and left much more energized at this point. They're disgusted with Trump. There's big backlash and all of that. But I really think this is about Democratic base voters. Being disgusted with and disapproving of the Democratic Party. Like, that's really the only way you get to that low of a level. And so, you know, if you look at the shift over time, that's really where I mean, they're not popular. Obviously, Republicans hate the Democrats. That goes without saying. Independents also disgusted with the Democratic Party. But it's base Democratic voters saying, I am not feeling what this party is selling at this point and being disgusted with their failure to fight Trump. I think also the, you know, failure to recognize Gaza as the clear moral evil and oppose genocide in any sort of a clear way. I think those failings of the Democratic Party are what really have led to them reaching the absolute basement level of support that they have now.
What's interesting is also if you look at the issue-by-issue handling for president and Congress, so this is just preference for Republicans over Democrats in Congress. It's economy, inflation, immigration, illegal immigration. That is actually where I find the most fascinating divide. But if you look at the areas where they at least have some, you know, support, it'll be on healthcare, vaccines, but on foreign policy and on Ukraine, there's still, on foreign policy in particular, there is a lot of dissatisfaction. What I just think is interesting is, like you said, you can only get to this extremely low level when you have your own Democratic base and the supermajority of the public that kind of come together and are like, no, we don't really believe in what you're saying. This also gets to the credibility theory.
And it's also like, what are they even saying?
Yeah, that's
like, I mean, I don't even know what the Democratic Party stands for or is selling at this point. Well, I genuinely don't.
Yeah,
you know,
that's part of the issue. Right?
Yeah.
And can we put F2 up there on the screen? This is absolutely fascinating because at the same time, what you showed here, you found this, is that the percentage of people who are extremely motivated to vote, if you go back in time and you look at October of 2022, Republicans were very extremely motivated to vote. But in July of 2025, Democrats are extremely motivated to vote. So they're motivated to vote against something, but they're not necessarily motivated to vote for something. And this is the biggest problem that I think the Democrats have. And it gets to the credible messenger theory, where people are obviously dissatisfied, at least right now, with some of the Republican Party. The way the Republicans were able to win in 2024 is by being a credible outsider kind of threat to the Democratic establishment of Biden and of Kamala. Kamala was never seen, she was just seen as an insider. That's it. At the end of the day, I think that's mostly why she lost. But then how do the Democrats capture that energy of saying we're an outsider and having credibility, being able to call out everything? That's where the Zoran model becomes important, because the Gaza thing is not just about Gaza. It's about speaking in a way that you never hear from anybody else. And that's what, who else superpower was that? Trump, right? That was Trump's. Right. So the point is that you need to appear above the political fray and say stuff that nobody else in the political system is willing to say. I don't see a single real like mainstream Democrat who is really able to do that. Now you have some, you know, progressive and all that, but not in my opinion at the major level. Which, by the way, is a big problem, because that means then if it becomes an establishment game, then the people who are going to win are the Buttigieg's and the Gavin Newsoms of the world. Yeah. And I mean, actually, the poly market odds are out. Newsom is currently leading, so. There you go. For the 2028 presidential nominee. Yeah, I mean, maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure I buy the Newsom. You're right about that. I mean, the problem is that they're, outside of Zoran, who can't run for president because he was born in Uganda, there is actually no one in the Democratic Party. Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar, I think, are the two who have been the most sort of like clear and morally consistent on the issue of Gaza. And, you know, neither one of those is going to be presidential contenders. AOC,
you have to do better. Like, I mean, it's just pathetic. Like, still defending at this point,
gone.
shipping weapons to Israel for any sort of purpose, I just can't. And yeah, I know you voted against the whole package, but you put out a message that was directly defending the idea of making sure that Israel has all the weapons to, never bear any of the personal consequences of their insane rogue actions and genocidal behavior, even as you call it a genocide. Like, it's not acceptable. So yeah, I mean, that, and I do think, like, I'm becoming more and more convinced of how important this issue is in, in the Democratic Party, in American politics overall. And so put F3 up on the screen. So when you have, the Senate leader of the Democrats, this man, Chuck Schumer, Ken Klippenstein has been tracking this. He hasn't done an interview with the press in like months, okay? But he has time for this anti-Semitism in the U.S., Jew-hating then, now, and tomorrow with Richie Torres and Chuck Schumer and Brett Stevens. This is what you're spending your time on while our country is backing a genocide in Gaza. Like, it's not serious. It's not serious. It's disgusting. It's like, what is the moral calculus that leads you to be more concerned, let's say, about a rally chant on a college campus than babies starving to death at the hands of our country? Please explain that moral calculus to me, because I find it disgusting, and I think the rest of the country does as well, and certainly the Democratic base does too as well at this point. And so, they have, in a way, there's an opportunity here, because what I've said to you and what I keep saying is what's really different this time is that the Democratic base is also discussing with Democratic leadership. The Democratic base is also discussing in a lot of ways with their own media institutions, which is why you have the Midas Touch guys and others that are blowing up, because they are looking for alternatives that are liberal or left liberal, that meet that need, that are in the right place on issues of, moral issues like Gaza. It creates an opportunity. The Democratic Party is a hollow husk just waiting to be like knocked over. It's a house of cards. I think Zoran proved that. That's the other reason why he was so important in New York, is I think he really proved that the whole edifice is just ready to crumble with the slightest bit of pressure. But then the question is just like, who's going to step up and actually do that? And there's no one that's out there right now that is a clear contender, in my view, who would be well positioned to really make the moral case. But I also feel like there's an inevitability to it, because you just can't have a situation where the base of the party is so at odds with the leadership and not have someone come in and fill that void. But, thus far, we haven't seen it. And certainly not going to come from Democratic leadership. Put F4 up on the screen. This is Hakeem Jeffries, who apparently had not tweeted about Gaza at all, and then puts out another of these mealy mouth, the humanitarian crisis in Gaza, again, as if this just came out of nowhere, has nothing to say about the intentional starvation being implemented by the Israelis. Still, by the way, hasn't even endorsed Zoran Mamdani. Hakeem Jeffries is himself from New York. By the way, Zoran won Hakeem Jeffries' district as well in New York City. So it's just disgusting cowardice that people are rightfully rejecting, across the political map. Certainly Republicans, obviously, they're not going to be supportive of Democrats, but independents and even the Democratic base are no. You stand for nothing. You have no principles. You are sold out. And, we deserve better. We deserve to have at least one party that's against genocide.
Yeah,
I really wish that wasn't too much.
What I don't get is where the opportunists don't come with this. So you have Andy Bashir. He just gave an interview to Vogue.
Yeah.
And he said, I believe when someone is an ally, when you disagree, you don't do it publicly or through the media, saying Israel was a critical ally. And, quote, we cannot have a nuclear Iran. It's like, dude, you're the governor of Kentucky.
Right.
You have no dog in this fight.
Right. And he hadn't had to say anything about this. He could have positioned himself anywhere.
I just don't get it. I'm like, where does this shit come from? I mean, you've probably got better statements than from Gavin or Pete Buttigieg or any of these other people. So I agree. Look, the system is rife for the taking, but there is something perverse in Democratic politics where maybe it's rule following or something, where actually saying screw you in the way that Trump was able to just apparently doesn't seem to have the same appeal. I don't know what it is, or at least the permission structure. Again, I don't know why, but Something like that needs to happen.
The
like, there needs
base
to-
wants that person.
They
but
want
they're
a Tea
all
Party and
so
Trump.
Cowardly. They're so risk averse.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, and they're so used to like coalition management. And they're so used to this logic in DC that has been the case for however long, that like all the danger is in going, all the political danger is in going against Israel. And they, you know, apparently haven't adjusted. And then they're also all complicit because you can, you know, immediately turn around and say, oh, well, you backed it when it was Biden. You know, like you helped to ship the weapons.
I didn't think about that.
But I think, you know, at this point, there's enough sort of track laid from Trump where you can say, okay, but he's doing that ethnic cleansing. He's, you know, Biden didn't say, Gaza, Lago or whatever, which is kind of bullshit, but at least would give them some like cover to say, oh, it's different now. But
I don't know. I mean, Obama did it in 2002. I don't know why people don't follow his example.
He gave an outsider.
Literally, state senator who gave a speech on Iraq, which nobody cared about. And
Right.
the shaky cam video ends up winning him the Iowa caucuses. It's like, guys, you know, it's not that hard to figure out in terms of why and how you're able to, like in the way that you're able to set your political future up if you want. But Dean had a chance. Again, I really think he had a chance. Threw it away. It's like these guys just continue to throw it away on this. I'll never understand.
yeah, no, I think it almost has to be an outsider. And I don't know who this person is, but maybe they exist.
Okay.
Bill
all right.
Burr, looking at you.
All right. We will see you guys tomorrow. Hey, if you like that video, hit the like button or leave a comment below. It really helps get the show to more people.
And if you'd like to get the full show ad-free and in your inbox every morning, you can sign up at breakingpoints.com.
That's right. Get the full show, help support the future of independent media at breakingpoints.com.